Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm currently just hanging out in my bedroom. Before I start this video, I apologize. I have my air conditioner going as well as my fan. I'm utilizing both at full blast because it is extremely hot and humid here in Japan. It is so unbearable. Some days are a little bit better than others. I think what kills it for me is the humidity, because it gets to a point where the humidity feels so thick and heavy that it's almost like a struggle to breathe. As much as I'm trying to conserve my electricity and not run up my electric bill, I think for this month, I'm just gonna say F it and hope that my electric bill isn't off the charts. At the same time, it is what it is. I think for August though, I'll be a little bit more mindful in regards to my electricity, but I think for the month of July, I'm just gonna say F it. I don't know how tourists do it. Honestly, I would be miserable. So much so that I don't think I'd really enjoy walking around and doing touristy things or sightseeing, because I just would be so just tired from just the heat itself and just wiping off the sweat and everything. So I feel like if you're a tourist or if you have friends in Japan and you want to visit them, I suggest late autumn or maybe early autumn. Well, either way, autumn or winter, and maybe early spring. But do not do late spring, do not do summer, because you will regret it. It's so hot and humid. It's so gross. Speaking of all this heat and humidity, I'm currently drinking some water with electrolytes in it, because I noticed when I was just drinking water, yeah, it was in a sense hydrating me, but I didn't feel quenched. And I was starting to feel, I don't know, a little bit out of it. I don't know how to describe it. I just kind of felt a little off. And then when I started incorporating more electrolytes into my diet, I guess, into my water, I've noticed that I've been feeling a lot better. It's been helping. So I'm actually taking a little break because I was studying my Japanese. I've actually been having a good time. I really like, if you're starting out, not that I'm an expert on the subject, but if you're starting out and you want to get familiarized with hiragana and katakana, I highly recommend this book. I'll leave it linked in the description down below, but it is what I've been using and I love it. It's so good. Honestly, this is what it looks like on the inside. And then it also teaches you some phrases, and I don't know, either way, it's a really good book. And then I also purchased this one during Amazon Prime. It was actually really cheap. I got a good deal off of it. This is supposed to help more with grammar and translation. So definitely, I think probably next month, which will be August, I'll start implementing this. Right now, I'm just focusing on this because I don't know. I'm familiarized, but there's some characters that I'm still struggling with. So I want to make sure that's on point before I move on to the next thing. So far, I'm still struggling, but I feel like I'm starting to get into a routine as far as my studying goes, and just really trying to implement Japanese language into my day-to-day, whether it's speaking with friends or just watching more TV that is in Japanese, rather than before I was just watching American YouTubers or English speaking YouTubers, and now I'm just trying to watch more Japanese content creators. And I'm not much of a movie or drama person. I've been forcing myself to watch that kind of stuff, and I guess YouTube for now. Anyway, this is my pincer, my favorite plush toy. You know what, you guys? I don't know if any of you are good at sewing, even though my analytics say that most of you guys are men. But that's not to say that you guys don't know how to sew. So with that being said, how would you guys suggest me making a t-shirt for him? He's about 30 centimeters. I don't know all the dimensions. I really want to get him a t-shirt, and I've been finding these kid t-shirts. This one is, what is this one? 18 months. But it fits him so awkwardly because like he is just an awkward shape. And his mouth just overruns his body. So I still love this Pokemon though. And I like this shirt. I got it at Target before I came to Japan. It has a lot of insects on it. I don't know. Do you guys think that's weird? I like to dress up my plush toys. This week, no, I would say like this week and a half have been so rough, you guys. I don't know if it's because of my health and just coming to the realization of the reality of things. I don't know if it's just because of people or maybe it's just a mix of the two, but I guess I'll start a little bit with my health, not to go into too much detail because it's depressing and I don't want to focus too much on that. The other day I had to go and get the groceries and I, as per usual, got my headphones on, started listening to some good music, got my grocery bag, and I made my way out. I had a few errands to run, not just going to the grocery store, but I needed to go and pay some utility bills, so I went over to 7-Eleven to go handle that, as well as I wanted to stop by one of my favorite bakeries, not only because I love getting the pastries that they sell there, but also because I love interacting with the girls that work behind the counter. They are just the sweetest people. So I'll go in there even if I'm not buying anything, and with the help of Google Translate, and plus they speak a little bit of English. So we'll just kind of chit chat a little bit and I'll just say hi and then just make my way out. After I grabbed everything that I needed to grab and I was ready to go home, I started noticing just how tired, I wouldn't even say tired, how fatigued I was just trying to walk back home. And I was struggling a little bit, going to the grocery store and the convenience store and everything. But I just thought, oh, maybe it's just the weather or something. And because, it's been so hot and gross outside. No. When I was walking home carrying all those groceries, I was just like, and it wasn't like I was carrying this like enormous amount of things, but I was so exhausted and I kept having to take little breaks. And it wasn't until an elderly woman walked by and she gave me a handkerchief and she just kind of patted my back and she just walked away. But it was at that moment that I was just like, okay. I just started like full on bawling my eyes out in the middle of an intersection. And at that moment, I felt so defeated. I felt so like I didn't feel in denial anymore of everything that I'm dealing with. Now I'm just kind of like accepting it and just trying to come into terms with everything, And it's funny because you look at me like right now, you're watching me and it's like I look okay. Like I look like if I didn't tell you guys I was dealing with anything, you guys probably would not even notice. But one thing that I try to do, despite how I feel, is I try to put on my makeup. A little jewelry doesn't hurt. I try to carefully brush my hair. I do have some bald spots, but it's not so noticeable. Like I'm able to conceal it. But I think aside from my health, what's really bothering me the most is just how people are. And sometimes for no real reason. Or maybe there is a reason, but because of the lack of communication, you're just left to assume. But when you like try to take a step back and analyze everything and try to look back to see where things went wrong, you can't figure it out. And you're just, again, left to just assume. I think that's one thing that I've noticed since coming to Japan and having an opportunity to interact with Japanese people from Japan, because there is a difference compared to Japanese Americans or Japanese people that were raised in other countries or that maybe just spent a lot of time, whether it be traveling or just living somewhere. I feel like their way of thinking and doing things is more westernized, but Japanese people from Japan who don't have experience living abroad or traveling abroad or interacting with foreigners, I feel like it's so difficult because of the lack of communication. I feel like a lot of them don't like confrontation, which, don't get me wrong, who does? Like, who enjoys that kind of shit? Unless you're a freaking, you know, batshit crazy or something. But for the most part, no one likes to. But sometimes it's necessary. Whether it's a romantic relationship or a platonic one, it doesn't matter. Some sort of communication needs to be had. And I know a lot of people say, oh, it's a culture thing, it's a culture thing. But is it? Is it really? Is it culture or is it just bad manners? And what boggles my mind the most is that a lot of these Japanese people, they genuinely want to interact with foreigners, but without actually wholeheartedly interacting. Like they just want to have a beer to shoot the shit, but when it comes down to like, hey girl, I'm having a tough day, you know, can I vent to you for a minute? It's like, oh girl, I'm sorry, I gotta bounce, kind of a thing. And it's just like, how? Like, why? I really wonder how a lot of Japanese people are raised at home. I know that there's a lot of family A word. I don't want to say the word because I don't want this video to get like flagged or anything, but that's what I've heard from a lot of, and this is coming from Japanese people. They're the ones that have told me that there's a lot of like, the family dynamics is kind of rough. So I don't know if maybe that has something to do with it, but, and I get so frustrated. I get so frustrated because, you know, you work so hard to try and build a bond or a connection or a friendship or whatever with someone, and without any warning, they're gone. And it's getting to a point, not to sound dramatic or anything, it's getting to a point where it almost feels like I'm grieving. Like I'm grieving a loss. Especially there's one particular person, and it's a guy, but we would talk every day. Yeah, he was a silly guy, but we talked every day without fail, every day. And then one day, nothing. I go about my business and I do my thing and I just live my life. But I wish these people knew how traumatizing and how hurtful it is. And then I have Asperger's on top of that, or high functioning autism. So like I'm trying to like understand everything and I don't, because I'm just so stupid. And it's to the point where it's just like I carry my phone everywhere because I'm always thinking in the back of my mind, oh, maybe today. And then a week goes by and a month goes by and what's sad is like this is such a common thing here. How can you live with yourself doing that to someone? I feel like, in a sense, it's almost like, I don't know. But I think the nice part about all of this is because, again, since I have high functioning autism and I get overwhelmed with messages and I don't respond so quickly, but now after experiencing all of this and now that I'm like hurting over it, I make sure to tell my friends, hey, you know, I'm feeling overwhelmed, so I'm gonna be late in messaging you, or can I message you tomorrow or something? Because like, not knowing anything hurts, I think. And then on top of that, it's like, it's so lonely. It's so lonely, like, just living here. I'm sorry if I'm just complaining and venting to you guys, but I don't really have someone to talk to, so I hope you don't mind. But it can get so lonely. Just like being here. Don't get me wrong, I love it here. There's aspects of it that I don't like, but generally speaking, I love it here. I love being here. But it's really easy to find yourself being alone and sometimes feeling isolated, and like you don't even know if you're coming or going, and then not being able to form a bond or a connection with someone. And then, like I just said, once you do find someone that you can connect with and they talk to you every fucking day. And they vanish. But I'm trying to, as hard as it is, and as much as a lot of this I don't really understand, again, my autism, but I feel like I am learning. I hope I never do anything like this to anyone. And if any of you have ever experienced something like this or something similar, then my heart goes out to you, because it hurts. Mentally, emotionally, and even, and crazy to say, but even physically in a sense, because it's like you're losing sleep and you feel stress and you're not able to work at your potential, you know, because you're just so distraught. And I've also learned that sarcasm, be careful with it if you're a very sarcastic person. There are some Japanese people, and in regards to this whole video, I'm not trying to put every Japanese person into this one category, but generally speaking, there's exceptions to everything, but generally speaking, a lot of Japanese people will take offense to sarcasm, like they won't understand it, and instead of them taking it as a joke, they'll take it literally and they'll get very offended by it. I feel like a lot of Japanese, not all, but a lot of Japanese people from Japan, they tend to be very sensitive as far as, even if it's constructive criticism, even if you come from a good place and you're genuinely trying to help them and steer them in the right direction, they take it in such a negative way. And even if you apologize and you're like, you know, I'm just trying to help you out, I don't mean anything bad by, you're already excommunicated. By the time they turn their back, they're done with you, kind of a thing. So be careful with that. As well as banter. Don't you do it. Don't you dare. Rough housing as well. That's not a thing here. I've quickly learned to just keep my thoughts to myself. Keep my jokes to myself. And it's so funny because a lot of the time there's moments, there's instances where I'm just like, ooh, this would be so funny. But I stop myself. Not only that, especially if you're like me, you don't speak, read, or write Japanese, or at least not well enough to, you know, have an actual conversation without relying on Google. If you are like, oh, this would be the funniest thing or the perfect joke, think it twice before you enter your stupid joke onto Google Translate, because let me tell you, it might translate it, but it won't land. Like, once you go to actually say it, your joke will probably not land, and again, you'll just end up offending whoever you're talking to. So be very careful with those things, you know. That's not to say that you can't joke around with people, that you can't have a good time. I'm not trying to sit here and say that Japanese people are so serious or anything, but you just have to be gentler. I think you just have to be a little bit more sensitive, cautious. That's not to say that you have to walk on eggshells, but just be careful. And it doesn't matter if you're interacting with older people or younger. For whatever reason, I tend to get along really good with either people my age or a little bit younger. Usually older Japanese people, yeah, I can shoot the shit with them, but I've noticed that they're a little bit more set in their ways. It's harder for me to get a feel for them. I feel like there's a little bit more leeway with people my age or slightly younger. But even with that being said, even with the younger crowd, still be cautious with the jokes and all that other stuff. I've only met probably like 3 people so far out of, and I've had the wonderful opportunity of interacting with a lot of Japanese people, but that I can recall, that I can think off the top of my head, there's been 3 where I feel like I can 100% be myself and just like joke around. And but yeah, with everyone else, that is not a thing. Also, insects, you'd be surprised how much of a deal breaker just housing insects, just keeping a few, like literally a few insects, and how it's like it's just a no-go for a lot of people. And I'm just like, how? Why? I've been watching a lot of content creators that are based in Japan, and they interview a lot of, whether it be foreigners or other Japanese people, and they ask for their opinions on certain topics and subjects and such. And it's just a little crazy to me to hear some foreigners talking about how, you know, they came to Japan with all these high hopes and expectations, and in their minds at that time, they're like, yeah, I'm gonna be in it for the long haul. And then like a year or 2 in, and they're like, yeah, I can't do this. Like, I want to go back home, kind of a thing. And even some Japanese people that have had the opportunity to live abroad, whether it's like a 3-month stay, 6 months, a year, a work visa, student visa, whatever. And they're like, yeah, like after living abroad, I don't think I can do it here. And even I, at one point, was like, I don't get it. Like, Japan, oh my God, you know? But after being here for a while, I'm just like, yeah, I can see it. I'm still not 100% like set on anything, whether I stay or go. I don't know. I think it would be better to be here. But, yeah, it's hard. I'm so sorry if this video is a little bit depressing, or if it's or if I'm saying anything that may be offensive or negative in any way, I'm not trying to bash anything or anyone, but it's just hard. It's been hard. I don't know if you guys are religious or not. It's okay if you're not, or if you are, whatever. I have friends from all walks of life, so to me it's like whatever, no big deal. But I wouldn't say I'm religious to the extent of going to church or anything, but I do believe in God, and I do have my rosaries and I pray. But I just lost what I was gonna say. Also, I've been trying to go on more walks just because I was so just devastated by my venture out to the grocery store, and so I've been just trying to, you know, get some steps in and do some light weights, but just trying to also exercise here at home. And I took my tortoise out for a walk, and by a walk I mean like I put him in his carrier and then I go to the nearest park that's like literally right down the street from me, and I'll get my tortoise, put him on the grass, and he walks around, does his thing, and I think he really enjoys it, and then I enjoy it because I'm getting some fresh air too. It's cicada season, so the cicadas are out, and I know some people hate it, but I love hearing them. And I found the cicada outside. I brought it home because he was dying. I hope he got a chance to mate. I hope he lived a happy life. But I ended up bringing him home because I kind of want to put this body on like a little display case. I have a really nice display case, and I want to, you know, prep his body and mount him. I don't have the heart to kill an insect. I know some people, that's how they get them ready for displays. They'll euthanize them. I don't have the heart to do that, so I try to just find ones that are already dead or close to dying, and then I'll try to keep them comfortable until they pass, and then as soon as they pass, then I'll go ahead and start prepping everything. So there's a mini project. I don't know, should I film something like that? I feel like some people will probably be really grossed out. I also ordered some Magic the Gathering, what is it? Not the deck, the other one. Whatever they're called, the little packs of cards. But I ordered a few, not too many because your girl's broke. But yeah, so hopefully I can do a little unboxing and show you guys what I got. You guys can let me know in the comments if I got anything good. And yeah, thank you so much to those of you that have been subscribing and liking my videos and commenting. Thank you so much for commenting. I look forward to it. And I'm not just saying this just because it helps with the algorithm or anything like that. Like, F all of that. You know, going through everything that I'm going through, and especially when I'm hospitalized sometimes, and like it gets so lonely, and sometimes it's such a depressing environment, and sometimes, you know, when you think you made a friend or a connection with somebody and they just disappear, and you're just alone. It's nice to have someone to talk to. So even if it's just a quick little interaction, you know, I'm very thankful, and I appreciate you guys. With that being said, please like and subscribe if you haven't so already. And if you're going through anything or anything similar as to me, hang in there. Hang in there. I don't know why things happen the way they do and why some people get better luck than others, but just hang in there. On that note, take care of yourselves. Please take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And most importantly, if you have pets, please take care of your pets. And I will catch you guys on the next one.